Fighting in Gaza intensifies as Netanyahu rejects calls for ceasefire. Desperation grows in Gaza amid food shortages. Israeli ground forces push deeper into Gaza Monday, advancing in tanks and other armored vehicles on the territory's main city and freeing a soldier held captive by Hamas militants. The Israeli Prime Minister rejected calls for a ceasefire as airstrikes landed near hospitals where thousands of Palestinians are sheltering beside the wounded. The military said Tuesday it had killed one of the leaders of the October 7 Hamas massacre in Israel, Nassim Abu Ajina, adding that his death significantly harms Hamas' efforts to fight off Israeli ground forces. The military said a soldier captured during Hamas's brutal October 7 incursion was rescued in Gaza, the first rescue since the weeks-long war began. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed her home, saying the achievement by Israel's security forces illustrates our commitment to free all the hostages. He also rejected calls for a ceasefire to facilitate the release of captives or end the war, which he has said will be long and difficult. Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, he told a news conference. The military said troops have killed dozens of militants who attacked from inside buildings and tunnels. It said Monday that, in the past few days, it had struck more than 600 militant targets, including weapons depots and anti-tank missile launching positions. Palestinian militants have continued firing rockets into Israel, including toward its commercial hub, Tel Aviv. On Tuesday, the IDF said it had carried out some 300 more airstrikes and ground forces had engaged with militants. Hamas said its fighters clashed with Israeli troops who entered from the northwest. It was not possible to independently confirm battlefield claims made by either side. Hamas and other militant groups are believed to be holding some 240 captives, including men, women, and children. Netanyahu has faced increasing pressure to secure their release even as Israel acts to crush Hamas and end its 16-year rule over the territory. Hamas, which has released 4 hostages, has said it would let the others go in return for thousands of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, including many implicated in deadly attacks on Israelis. Israel has dismissed the offer, and Netanyahu said the ground invasion creates the possibility of getting the hostages out, adding that Hamas will only do it under pressure. Hamas released a short video Monday purporting to show 3 other female captives. It was not clear when the Hamas video was made. Amos Aloni, whose daughter Danielle appeared in the video, told reporters that he and his wife were shocked to see her on TV, but felt relief from her being alive and seeing her. The U.S. is providing weapons shipments on an almost daily basis to Israel, Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh told reporters. Despite the rising number of civilian casualties, we are not putting any limits on how Israel uses weapons, Singh said. The Israeli military has been vague about its operations inside Gaza, including the location and number of troops. Israel has declared a new phase in the war, but stopped short of declaring an all-out ground invasion. Though Israel ordered Palestinians to leave the north, where Gaza City is located, and move south, hundreds of thousands remain, in part because Israel has also bombarded targets in so-called safe zones. Around 117,000 displaced people hoping for safety are staying in hospitals in northern Gaza, alongside thousands of patients and staff, according to UN figures. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA, says nearly 672,000 Palestinians are sheltering in its schools and other facilities, which have reached 4 times their capacity. UNRWA head Philippe Lazzarini accused Israel of collective punishment of the Palestinians and of forcing their displacement from northern Gaza to the south, where they are still not safe. The death toll among Palestinians passed 300, mostly women and children, the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry said Monday. Over 1,400 people have died on the Israeli side, Israel says, mainly civilians killed during Hamas's initial attack. Also an unprecedented figure. Videos circulating on social media showed an Israeli tank and bulldozer in central Gaza blocking the territory's main north-south highway. The video, taken by a local journalist, shows a car approaching an earth barrier across the road. As it heads away, a tank appears to open fire, and an explosion engulfs the car. Meanwhile, crowded hospitals in northern Gaza came under growing threat. Gaza's health ministry shared video footage that appeared to show an explosion and a column of smoke near the Turkish-Palestinian Friendship Hospital for cancer patients. All 10 hospitals operating in northern Gaza have received evacuation orders, the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said. Strikes hit within 50 yards of Al-Quds Hospital after it received 2 calls from Israeli authorities on Sunday, ordering it to evacuate, the Palestinian Red Crescent Rescue Service said. Some windows were blown out and rooms were covered in debris. Israel says it targets Hamas fighters and infrastructure and that the militants operate among civilians, putting them in danger. With no central power for weeks and little fuel, hospitals are struggling to keep emergency generators running to operate incubators and other life-saving equipment. On Sunday, the largest convoy of humanitarian aid yet, 33 trucks, entered the territory from Egypt, and another 26 entered Monday. Relief workers say the amount is still far less than what is needed for the population of 2.3 million people. In the occupied West Bank, Israel carried out airstrikes Monday against militants clashing with its forces in the Jenin refugee camp. Hamas said 4 of its fighters were killed there. As of Sunday, Israeli forces and settlers have killed 123 Palestinians, including 33 minors in the West Bank, half of them during search and arrest operations, the UN said.